The tale opens in the year 2070, which is 8 years and 3 months following the world's destruction. They found themselves on the edge of a harsh desert where the temperature measured 67 degrees. The survivors found themselves under assault from an enormous wolf made of flames, prompting one member of the group to raise a weapon and attempt to fire at the fearsome creature. Hearing this, the group urges Captain to defeat the creature, as everyone relies on his strength. Despite the captain's empty weapon, the wolf lunges ahead, prepared to overpower him. At that instant, 2 girls rushed forward to offer assistance, yet the creature lashed out and hit one of them. The creature is struck on the head, and the impact fuels its rage toward the group even more. The beast suddenly changes direction, setting its sights on the 2 helpless girls and beginning its pursuit. The girl with pink hair froze in fear as the creature's sharp claws crept ever nearer to her. Suddenly steps between her and the wolf, shouting at the animal to back off while firing his weapon. He drove his knife into the creature's chest, but as he did, the creature lunged forward and sank its teeth into his shoulder. The force of the blow sent the captain flying across the ground, while the monster stumbled backward from the powerful strike. Both girls hurried over to the wounded captain, and one began carefully wrapping a bandage around his injury. Tears streaming down her face, the pink-haired girl pleaded desperately for her brother to stay alive, her voice filled with anguish as she begged him not to leave her. Without warning, another survivor reached out and seized the arm of the young woman as she cared for the injury. He announces his intention to claim the captain's supplies, reasoning that the captain has no further use for them. The others in the group shared the same opinion, believing that using medicine on him would be a waste. The girl's face flushed with anger as she protested, insisting that it would be unthinkable to leave behind the person who had rescued them on countless occasions. The young man let out a dismissive scoff, making it clear that no one had ever asked him to step in and rescue anyone. He reached out and took hold of her face, informing her that nearly all of humanity, about 90%, had already disappeared. The haired boy considered a burden, believing that rescuing them had been his sole worthwhile action. As a final act, they hurled the captain over the edge of the cliff, abandoning him to face his fate in solitude. Despite their attempts to remain and offer assistance, the 2 girls were pulled away against their will as the rest of the group insisted on leaving. The brute grinned, expressing hope that once they reached the camp, they could encounter someone of significance and perhaps benefit from the meeting. With anger burning in her eyes, the young woman wrenched herself free and delivered a swift kick to the blond man's face, her voice cutting through the air as she accused him of being a coward. At the same time, the girl with pink hair sank her teeth into the arm of her captor, trying to break free from his grasp. The blonde-haired man forcefully shoved the young woman to the floor, declaring that with the captain out of the picture, she now belonged to him. With eyes blazing with loathing, she glares at him while his grip tightens mercilessly around her neck. The attacker leaned in, his face twisted with revulsion, clearly preparing to commit a dreadful act. At that instant, a single tear slipped from the girl's eye and landed directly on his tongue. Without warning, Yuan swung his fist from the shadows, striking the man squarely in the face. The blonde-haired boy is hurled across the area, crashing painfully onto the ground, completely confused about the events that just occurred. Despite the pain from his wounded shoulder left by the wolf, the captain gradually rises to his feet. The young man's eyes shone with a brilliant blue light as he stood before the group, who stared back at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he could possibly be alive. The girls called out his name with excitement, but fear gripped the rest of the group. He aimed his gun at the traitors, demanding that they release the girls right away. The brute attempts to defuse the tension, yet fires a shot at the ground near his feet to serve as a warning. The blonde-haired boy's temper flared, and he reached down to grab a massive stone from the ground, preparing to strike. He charged at the captain, mocking him for always following the rules while lifting the rock high, ready to bring it down on him. Reacts with remarkable speed, firing ahead of anyone else and striking the traitor with a precise shot that brings him down instantly. He aimed at the brute's leg and fired, causing the thug to howl in shock and agony as the bullet struck. Both of the last traitors, overwhelmed by terror from the recent events, shouted out in panic as desperation took hold of them. As the group hurried away, they called out their fears that the captain could not make it on his own, yet he still allowed them to escape without him. Once the surge of adrenaline faded, strength left him, and he dropped to the ground completely worn out. The young woman, her expression etched with concern, offered her support to him, expressing her confidence that he was too strong to fall so easily. A peculiar symbol begins to shine on the young man's chest as he admits that he is not all right. He goes on to explain that he has already died, and now something different is occurring to him. The young man revealed that, just as he died, a special power emerged within him, and this newfound ability was the reason he returned to life. Suddenly, several digital screens materialized before him, displaying messages that confirmed the host had been brought back to life. The girls looked puzzled, yet the brown-haired girl soon understood that he had activated a unique power. Several new screens popped up, indicating that he had earned an experience point and was now eligible to advance to the next level. The captain found himself puzzled by the nature of this newfound ability and questioned the purpose behind the existence of these experience points. The system proceeds to clarify that he possesses the ability to upgrade objects, using his accumulated experience to transform and improve them. As they continued their conversation, the fire wolf that had previously attacked them reappeared, intent on completing its assault. Fear swept through the group, but rose to his feet and reassured everyone, insisting they had nothing to fear now that he possessed powers. He believes that failing to defeat a wolf means he would be powerless to defend others against even more dangerous creatures. At the same time, the wolf tracks down the escaping traders and devours them for a swift meal. The brute revealed that their strategy involved sacrificing the blonde-haired man's body as a diversion to keep the beast occupied and gain a few precious moments. The firewall turned its attention toward and his companions, showing no concern for the traders it had already overcome. With a powerful burst of energy, the creature sprang forward, aiming its attack directly at the captain and the two girls. The girls offered a warning about the approaching wolf, while responded by saying that what awaited him was a valuable lesson. He opened fire on the monster, each bullet he unleashed adding to the experience his pistol gained. The young man comes to understand that defeating opponents with the weapon allows him to accumulate experience for it. After several shots were fired, the pistol's experience reached its peak, making it ready for enhancement. Yangon eagerly attempted to enhance his weapon using his newfound power, feeling a surge of excitement over his latest ability. The system issued a warning, indicating that his character's level was insufficient to upgrade the item. The girls watched his actions with bewilderment, suspecting that he had finally gone mad. The young man concentrated his energy into the pistol, unleashing a fierce beam that shot directly into the wolf's open jaws. His confident smile revealed the newfound strength he possessed, making it clear he had grown far more powerful than he once was. From afar, the traders could hardly believe their eyes, as the captain managed to overcome the terrifying creature. The brood trembled with fear as the realization struck them. They understood that allowing to survive was simply not an option. Following their long journey, the group eventually reaches a survivor camp known as. After everything he had endured, the barely noticed the sharp pain when he stepped on a nail lying on the ground, showing no concern for the injury. He gazes at the camper, a wave of relief washing over him as he feels grateful that they have at last arrived somewhere secure. After traveling for 2 days, the girls feel tired, yet relief washes over them now that they know they are safe. Now that safety had been secured, the group realized they needed to gain more experience. The girl with pink hair wondered aloud if it was truly possible for them to remain in that place, her voice tinged with concern about what might happen next. The captain reassures her by explaining that the organization must take in survivors. Before long, additional survivors drew near, offering the wolf meat they had brought with them. They present a selection of goods, such as water, footwear, and other necessities, hoping to trade them for a small portion of the meat. Amidst the bustling throng, the girl with brown hair spots a familiar face, one of the traders who had once left them behind. The trader moved closer, hoping to request some meat, but she fixed him with an icy, anger-filled stare that made him halt immediately. The young woman stepped forward and challenged him, insisting that he lacked the authority to address as captain. Without warning, the brood emerged and forcefully slammed the other traitor onto the ground. Trembling, the traitor pleaded desperately for Yang Yuan's mercy, hoping to be forgiven. The young man began to clarify the situation, revealing that the brute had deceived everyone, which led to them leaving the captain behind. He explains that the brute discovered a monster core and tried to claim it solely for himself. The trader, his hope dwindling, pleaded earnestly for a scrap of meat, fearing starvation if he went without. Every year he promises to hand over the meat, yet the girl with brown hair feels uneasy and unhappy about this arrangement. A sense of relief washes over the trader as they smile, convinced that the captain's forgiving nature means there are no hard feelings. Seized his face firmly, insisting that he had to suffer some pain before earning any food. With an icy expression, the captain informed him that the meat would be his to eat once everything was finished. The trader stared in disbelief, unable to comprehend the captain's actions, and wondered silently if the captain was playing a cruel joke on him. The stranger shoved him to the ground, accusing him of being the type to hold grudges and refusing to share his food with just anyone. He hurled the meat toward the crowd, prompting everyone to surge forward in a frantic scramble to snatch the scattered pieces. The brute concealed himself, his gaze filled with fury as he struggled to comprehend how fortune continued to favor. The girls took charge of handing out the meat, urging everyone to remain patient and collect a single portion each. Afterward, the group heads to a station where they sign in and receive their latest assignments. Despite their hopes, the group received only a small amount of supplies, causing frustration to well up within the brown-haired girl. The group arrived accompanied by a new individual, announcing that the provisions would be distributed to those most in need before anyone else. The young woman erupts in fury, convinced that the situation is a form of personal retaliation for past events. The brew pretended to be blameless, claiming his actions were only meant to help since had been hurt. He forces them out of the line, insisting that they stop acting like victims and demanding that they go away. Anger flushed across the young woman's face as she prepared to confront the brute, infuriated by his boldness. Intervened, urging her to drop the subject since the other girl was already waiting for them. As the group departed, laughter erupted among the remaining people. One of the boys went so far as to suggest to the captain that the girls should be left behind. The young woman clenched her jaw in frustration, blaming the brute for everything that had happened and accusing him of misusing his authority. Everyone soon noticed that he wasn't the only one acting differently. The rest of the group was behaving oddly toward them as well. The group decided to separate, with the captain setting off to hunt while the girls remained behind to tend to the camp. At a distance, the brute observed the scene, a wicked grin spreading across his face as he schemed his next malicious move. Blistering rays from the desert sun pressed heavily on the group, intensifying the challenges faced by those struggling to endure another day. The girl with pink hair carefully tended to a piece of meat over the fire, using a small fan to help it cook evenly. Without warning, several men approached and attempted to seize her meat, insisting that she give them a portion. She declines to give up the meat, holding it close as she explains how difficult it was for her to obtain it. The men shoved her forcefully to the ground and began attacking her in an attempt to take the food away. The remaining survivors witness what is happening, but they choose to keep their distance, not wanting to risk getting into any difficulties themselves. The leader of the group grabbed her tightly and suggested she should call out for help to find out whether her brother would come to her rescue. She successfully seized the monster core and slammed it forcefully against the attacker's face. At that very moment, stormed into the tent, his face twisted in anger as he took in the scene before him. The man became frantic, urging the other not to take any action, since ending a life in that place was strictly forbidden. Acted swiftly, firing at the assailant's arms and legs to render him unable to fight back. With a final, decisive strike, defeated the assailant, remarking that the consequences were a result of the man's own actions. The system him that his pistol had accumulated enough experience to be upgraded, transforming it into a premium weapon. The rest of the men reacted in fear, their voices rising as they pointed out that Yuan had gone through with the entire act. A young woman with brown hair entered the scene, her eyes scanning the area as she checked to see if anyone had been hurt by the sight of the body lying on the ground. She recognized the man as one of the thug's associates, which validated what she had suspected all along. The girl with pink hair wept, feeling responsible for his actions and believing he did it because of her. The other person tried to comfort her, assuring her that she wasn't to blame and that the man had received the consequences he deserved. She informed Yuan that she had discovered the brute was circulating gossip about him. Whispers spread throughout the camp, leading many people to lose trust in the captain and side with others against him. The annual is stunned when he discovers that others at the camp are now trying to force him to leave. Wearing a wicked grin, he expressed his eagerness to discover who would be brave enough to challenge his position. Just then several soldiers arrived outside the tent, searching for Yuan. The captain stepped forward to find out their purpose, presenting himself with a steady and composed demeanor. The group leader stepped forward and identified himself as Jun, informing everyone that had broken the camp's rules. The soldiers advanced to capture the captain, while he and the girls themselves to resist. The mysterious figure forcefully shoved the soldiers aside, making it clear through his actions that surrender was not an option for him. The girls positioned themselves before him, prepared to shield him from the soldiers drawing near. The brute grinned, warning him that resistance would be futile because the bullets would offer no mercy. The captain insists that his actions were in self-defense, explaining that the other man had stolen his belongings and assaulted his companion. Kays wanted to see evidence, but the brute became defensive, rejecting all accusations and charging Kays with making false claims. A member of the group of tough quickly invents a lie, claiming that their opponents fired the first shot in an attempt to shift the blame onto them. The girl with pink hair reveals the marks on her arm, using the bruises as evidence that she had been attacked by those individuals. The men claimed she had injured herself intentionally to make them look guilty, finding the whole situation amusing. The annuling grew upset and explained to Kay that he had felt threatened by the brute, remained skeptical of the explanations given, and immediately commanded that the captain be taken into custody. The anyone suddenly announced that he possessed an additional piece of evidence, catching everyone off guard with his unexpected revelation. The crew begins to worry, suspecting that the captain might only be pretending in order to stall for more time. The annual stated that their meat could be identified by a unique mark, and offered to let others inspect the accuser's tent for proof. Pauses, uncertainty flickering across his face, while insists with confidence that there is no reason for hesitation since nothing is being concealed. He forcefully stomped on the ground, using the noise to divert the soldiers' attention and move forward. Holding his gun tightly, he confronted the brute, claiming the man was scared of the ongoing investigation. The brood and his shrink back in fear, unsettled by the captain's demeanor and uncertain about their next move. A soldier discovered the missing meat hidden inside the accuser's tent and carried it over to present it to Kays. He explains that his friend has a habit of marking their food, making it easy to identify. As they examine the meat, they notice that one piece bears a tiny imprint resembling a bird. Kays lifted the piece of meat, eyeing it warily as he questioned the strange mark, his doubts about the explanation lingering. The young woman with brown hair blushes and hurriedly clarifies that the mark is actually a swallow. The brute attempts to justify his actions, insisting that the mark on the meat was made by the others themselves. The young woman approached him and demanded an explanation, wanting to know the reason her name had been written on the food. The brute stands frozen, unable to utter a word, as it dawns on him that his deception has been exposed and escape is impossible. His anger boiled over, igniting his special power as he drove his fist forcefully into the brute's abdomen. He issued a stern warning, telling the man not to squander any more of his time, then walked away, leaving the injured man writhing on the ground. With one decisive strike, hurled his opponent across the area, swiftly bringing the chaos to an end. He then ordered his followers to cease their actions and stand down. The brute warned that his time would come, but the captain remained calm and unshaken by the threat. He stood before his adversary, his eyes blazing with determination, prepared to meet any challenge that awaited him. Once the chaos subsides, the group makes their way back to the tent. The young woman with brown hair steps away, searching for a medical kit to tend to any injuries. She observed that even though they had managed to settle things, there was still a chance the brute might stir up trouble again. The annual nodded in agreement, acknowledging that they must adapt to the situation in order to ensure their own safety. He began piecing together a makeshift weapon using bones, explaining that it was intended to help her protect herself. The young woman's eyes gleamed with gratitude as she accepted the gift, clearly pleased by both the present and the captain's thoughtful gesture. Using his unique power, Yuan fashioned a compact hand crossbow, acquiring new skills in the process. The system acknowledged his accomplishment, and him that he had earned a single experience point. The girl with pink hair gazed at the weapon in admiration, silently marveling at how impressive the captain seemed to her. He aimed the crossbow at Arrow and fired, but the outcome initially failed to meet his expectations. Although the girls appreciate receiving the gift, they can't help but feel that the weapon is somewhat underwhelming, despite their attempts to conceal their disappointment. He activated his power, transforming the crossbow and giving it a completely updated appearance. The weapon's experience hit its peak, giving him the chance to enhance it to a higher level. The captain grinned proudly as he displayed the upgraded crossbow, its enhanced power and sleek design clearly evident. He passed the weapon to the young woman with brown hair, assuring her that it should work properly now. She lifted the newly improved crossbow, her hands steady and sure, feeling a surge of confidence as she aimed, ready to face whatever threats might come her way. The arrow soared through the air with tremendous speed and struck the earth so hard that it left a deep crater where it landed. The young woman with brown hair stared in disbelief at the weapon, astonished by its incredible strength and struggling to accept what had just happened. She expressed her gratitude to the captain for the amazing present, while the girl with pink hair eagerly requested a weapon as well. He grinned at the group, assuring them that everyone would soon receive their weapons, since he had discovered a new method for earning experience. Afterward, the group made their way back to the mission post, eager to receive another assignment and push forward with their adventure. The brute met the group with a sneering grin, his expression taunting as he inquired about their purpose for coming. The group announces that their mission is finished and asks for another task, but the brood silently prepares to act according to its own intentions. He decides to send the boy to a perilous area inhabited by enormous wolves, hoping this would be the end of them. The young woman with brown hair becomes frustrated, while the brute insists that forming a group will help them take on more rewarding missions. She attempts to gather more survivors by mentioning that Yuan possesses an extraordinary power. Most people hesitated to approach, worried that they could end up as decoys for someone else's plan. An elderly man remarks that nobody would be willing to endanger themselves for someone known to have killed another person. The girls insist that he has been wrongly accused, yet their attempts to clear his name fall on deaf ears. The brute found the situation amusing and remarked that nobody was interested in becoming part of the captain's group. The filled with rage, slammed its foot forcefully onto the table, causing the brute to topple over and crash to the ground. He leveled the gun directly at his adversary's face, causing the terrified opponent to freeze as the barrel hovered inches from his forehead. The captain claims that only power holds value in this world, boasting about his pistol that never runs out of bullets. He extended an invitation, announcing that anyone interested in joining him should gather near the well. The remaining survivors considered the idea carefully, their thoughts drawn to the advantages of possessing a formidable weapon. The group feels crushed, struggling to accept that he was defeated once more and failed to get back at his enemy. As she toiled beneath the blazing sun, the young woman with brown hair expressed her discomfort with the sweltering heat during her work. Without warning, the girl with vibrant pink hair experiences an odd sensation, and a bright, powerful light shines from her eyes. Sensing an unusual presence drawing near, she cautions that there is trouble ahead. The captain and the other young woman remained vigilant, heeding the girl's warning even though they noticed nothing unusual. The earth trembled beneath their feet as an enormous shadow loomed over them, startling everyone in the group with its sudden presence. A massive stone golem suddenly emerges before the group, preparing to unleash its full power in an imminent assault. Most people found it hard to believe, since creatures made of stone typically remained still. He and the girls narrowly avoided the golem's initial strike, watching as its powerful blow cracked the earth where they had just stood. The captain unsheathes his weapon, steeling himself for the confrontation as he stands opposite the looming stone creature. He fires multiple shots at the golem, yet none of the bullets appear to harm the monster. The monster's anger grew with each assault, and it itself to strike back. The annual event informed the girls that regular bullets were useless against the stone gala. The golem swung its massive arm in a powerful attack, but the captain reacted just in time, narrowly avoiding the strike. He instructed the girls to take cover as he prepared to draw the giant creature's attention away from them. The captain fired his weapon to draw the golem's focus, loudly demanding that the creature direct its aggression toward him. The stone monster twisted its form, hurling chunks of its own body through the air as deadly projectiles. He avoided every strike, skillfully leaping from one soaring rock to another as they hurtled toward him. He understands that while victory over the golem is impossible, the battle itself offers him a chance to learn and grow stronger. As he tried to avoid the flying objects, one projectile struck his leg, causing an injury that made him stumble and lose his balance. He collapsed onto the ground, grieving over his inability to upgrade his pistol and make it more powerful. The young woman with brown hair saw that the other girl looked unwell and instructed her to assist you. She refuses to abandon the captain and seizes the crossbow, determined to aid him in the fight. Gripping the weapon firmly, she herself to see just how powerful the crossbow crafted by Yuan truly was. With swift precision, she unleashed a forceful arrow that shot rapidly through the air, aimed directly at the stone golem. The arrow struck the creature at an odd angle and barely grazed its rocky exterior, leaving only a shallow mark. The young woman watched in frustration as her attack failed to leave a single mark on the golem, which stood unharmed. Upon realizing the weapon's weakness against the creature, desperation fills her. The creature at the center unleashed a powerful assault, hurling stones in every direction. Both girls are struck and collapse onto the ground, powerless to protect themselves from the assault. During the yearly competition, he tried to prove himself, but his weapon malfunctioned just as the fight intensified. At the most critical moment, he notices his pistol has jammed, and a wave of panic rushes over him. The captain hurried to repair the weapon, working frantically while the golem drew closer with an intimidating presence. While he handled the pistol, he acquired enough skill to advance to the next level. Now that he had reached a higher level, gained the ability to improve his weapon, giving him a real opportunity to succeed. The golem ensnared both girls with its massive stone arms, rendering them completely unable to move. During the moments bought for him, anyone took the opportunity to complete the upgrades to his weapon. He notices that, following the system upgrade, the pistol now possesses significantly greater power than before. Armed with a newly acquired weapon, he targeted the golem's vulnerable spots, causing its joints to break apart. Under the relentless barrage from the upgraded pistol, cracks began to spread across the surface of the stone monster, causing chunks of its body to break away and tumble to the ground. With the golem now frail and exposed, saw an ideal chance to strike. Everyone understands that simply destroying the golem will not suffice, since it has the ability to heal itself. The girls looked on with concern as the monster began to piece itself back together, realizing how powerful their opponent truly was. The pink-haired girl's eyes shone brightly as she spotted the golem's vulnerable spot. She urgently called out too, instructing him to aim at the creature's cord in order to finally destroy it. The captain concentrates all his strength on the pistol and directs it toward the radiant center of the creature. He aimed carefully and launched a precise attack, striking the core exactly in the center. The impact triggered a massive explosion. The force of the shot breaks through the core, causing this body to start falling apart. The creature's power faded away, causing its rocky fragments to scatter in all directions. At last, the objective falls, its shattered remnants strewn over the dirt-covered earth. Exhaled in relief, his happiness clear after emerging victorious from the tough fight with the... Amidst the debris, he discovers the monster's core, glowing brightly with immense power. He lifted the core and realized it could be exchanged for enough provisions to support 2 people for 3 months. The young woman with brown hair wondered aloud how the other person had discovered the location of the golem's core. He and Yuan presented their gratitude to the pink-haired girl, acknowledging her vital assistance before the court. From a distance, the brute glared with anger, unable to believe that someone had once more managed to escape unharmed. His weapon, eyes fixed on the captain, his resolve unwavering as he aimed to finish their conflict for good. The girl with pink hair felt the threat return, and a green light began to shine in her eyes. She stepped in front of, shielding him from the incoming shot by using her own body as protection. The bullet struck the girl directly, causing her to let out a sharp cry as pain from the unexpected attack surged through her. The yearly event left him stunned as he watched his friend take the blow meant for him, collapsing to the ground in disbelief. A young woman with brown hair rushed over to assist her wounded friend, concern etched across her face as she feared for her friend's well-being. The persons sprang to their feet, anger burning in their eyes as they prepared to strike back and defend their friend's honor. He spots the gunman positioned in a watchtower, getting ready to target him. With precise aim, the shattered the brute's weapon, stopping any chance of a further assault. The brute stared in disbelief as the captain's gunfire shattered his weapon before his eyes. Glared at the enemy, eyes blazing with intense hatred, as he prepared himself to confront and resolve their long-standing conflict. He moved closer to the tower, causing the brute to tremble with fear at his approach. The brute stood in disbelief, stunned that someone had managed to spot him despite the distance and his careful concealment. The stranger struck the opponent's arm, causing an injury that made the enemy yell out in agony. The brute attempted to offer an apology, whilst intention had only been to assist with the stone monster. The captain stared at him with disdain, demanding to know how he had discovered their location and realized they were engaged in battle there. Yang Yuan showed no hesitation as he aimed at the brute's legs, causing him to collapse onto the ground. The brute loudly declared his inability to remove the other man, explaining that such an action was forbidden by the law governing the end of the world. The fired at the enemy's hand, causing him to yell out as the intense pain from the wound overwhelmed him. The brute lets out a howl of agony as the forceful blast shatters his hand beyond recognition. The captain claimed that his opponent had struck the first blow and vowed not to kill him, but promised to make him endure great pain. The brute pleaded desperately for mercy, yet remained cold and unmoved. He drives a wooden stake deep into the opponent's arm, worsening the wound and causing even more pain. Delivered a forceful kick that incapacitated the brute, leaving him badly hurt. The enemy lies sprawled across the ground, utterly beaten and racked with pain from his wounds. The shattered pieces of the golem collapsed onto the brute, pinning him beneath their weight and ending his struggle permanently. The stone creature consumed its target hole. Trailing behind him with its scattered remains, it finally eliminates the danger for good. The girls felt a surge of fear as they witnessed the unsettling scene, yet a sense of relief washed over them knowing their adversary was finally gone. As darkness settled over the land, the steer sky cast its glowing light on the camp left in ruins by the recent battle. The group settled beside a crackling fire, carefully treating their injuries and taking time to recover. The young woman with brown hair turned to her friend, curious about which power her friend had discovered in the midst of the battle. The girl with pink hair admitted her uncertainty, yet recalled sensing an unusual energy as the fight unfolded. They speculate about what her power could be, considering the possibility that it might sharpen her senses. The girls embraced the protagonist, who felt uneasy about having someone so powerful watching over them. The young woman with brown hair confidently claims that her senses surpass those of ordinary people. She silently wishes she could have unlocked his unique power as well. The annual commended her, noting that her crossbow possessed enough strength to defeat a monster. He offers to upgrade her weapon, which fills her with excitement at the thought of new possibilities. The captain carefully crafted new arrows, his skill improving a little more with every arrow he finished. He tells them that improving his skills requires leveling up, and making or upgrading items is a way to achieve that. The young woman with brown hair felt a wave of shock wash over her, as she witnessed the captain's unexpected technique for improving their abilities. Drawing from all the experience gained, the successfully advances to the next level again. With each new level, he notices a surge in his strength, and observes that his injuries mend more quickly than before. The captain reached out for the crossbow, intending to upgrade it and boost its strength even further. He observes that the weapon has already gained some experience, which allows the enhancement process to proceed more smoothly. The improved crossbow allowed arrows to fly as far as 120 meters, which pleased the greatly. He tried out the new weapon, launching an arrow that shot forward with remarkable speed and power. The arrow struck a stone with such force that the rock exploded into pieces, clearly demonstrating the impressive strength of the upgraded crossbow. The girls marvel at what they've witnessed, while assures them that the golem no longer poses any threat. The young woman with brown hair expressed her gratitude by embracing him, and assured him she would always live up to his expectations. Handed a crossbow to the girl with pink hair, making sure she had a way to protect herself. Without warning, a peculiar sensation washes over the girl with pink hair, causing her eyes to light up once more. She alerted the group to the presence of an approaching figure, causing everyone to become tense and ready for action. A man began to walk toward them, and Yuan realized that he was one of the traitors. An arrow struck the traitor, sending him crashing to the ground as the ambush brought a swift end to his journey. The man collapses to the ground, caught off guard and defenseless against the sudden ambush launched by and his companions. The girls recoiled in fear as they understood that the man possessed special powers. If not for their friend's help, everyone agreed they would be facing serious trouble right now. He becomes aware of an unusual shift in the atmosphere, noticing an odd tension that signals something is unfolding nearby. A group of soldiers arrived on the scene and discovered the lifeless body of the traitor lying on the ground. The patrol leader wants to know who caused the incident at that location. The annual approaches and accepts responsibility, clarifying to everyone that the action was taken in self-defense. A soldier expressed skepticism about the account, suggesting that was actually the one who initiated the attack. The girl with pink hair stood up for the captain, insisting that his account of the events was truthful. A masked man examined the injury closely, realizing that the weapon responsible was unusual and not something commonly seen. The masked man decides that skills make her an important member of the camp. He argues that it is unreasonable to be punished just because of one fallen person. The masked man instructed the soldier to release the group, effectively bringing the investigation to a close. He spots the traitor's knife lying on the ground, which serves as proof that Yuan had been telling the truth. The soldier declares that anyone who defies the rules deserves to die, and after issuing this warning, the patrol retreats from the scene. The annual decided to lay the traitor's body to rest, bringing the situation to a final resolution. From a distance, the masked man watched the group closely, his curiosity piqued by the display of their skills. Each year, he gazes at the man behind the mask, an uneasy feeling growing inside him as he senses the stranger's threat. He explained that their survival was due to their friend's help, and admitted that they would need stronger armor in the future. The girls understood they had no choice but to depend on themselves for safety. Together, they began to dig a grave for the traitor, cooperating closely as they carried out the task. The girls expressed their exhaustion as they continued digging under the blazing sun, finding the labor difficult and relentless. The yearbook expressed dissatisfaction about the hard work, noting that grave digging was exhausting. He observes the camp rapidly taking shape, evolving into a stronghold before his eyes. The captain feels irritated by how quickly the construction is moving, yet deep down, he can't help but admire how efficiently everything is being done. The young woman with brown hair suspects that the group possesses individuals with the power to control Earth. Chewed thoughtfully on a slice of meat, convinced that the military intended to remain in the area for an extended period. The girls felt a surge of excitement at the thought of discovering a secure place where they could live. The pink member picked at her food. Her appetite, small as concern, filled her mind about not being able to support the rest of the group. The annual event brings her comfort, assuring her that they will not face food shortages in the years to come. The young woman with brown hair offered reassurance, reminding her that the captain had always been truthful with their group. The girl with pink hair felt a wave of relief after hearing what the captain said, and she began eating the meat with joy. Mentioned his need to exchange goods at the military camp, which sparked the girls' interest and made them wonder what he was planning. He gazes at the towering fortress, his doubts about its security lingering in his mind. The following morning, they notice with astonishment that the fortress now has an additional level. As the group approached the entrance, guards blocked their path and demanded to know their purpose for coming. The guard informs them that a safe zone is being established and invites them to become part of it. The individual declines the proposal, feeling concerned about revealing the secret of his system and about keeping the location safe. He revealed the monster core, indicating that he intended to exchange it for a particular item. The guard inquires about its request, prompting to reveal the core as his answer. He surprises the girls by expressing his desire for a safe house that he can easily carry with him. The group points out that their defenses are lacking and insists that finding a safe house is essential. Yuan knew that the core from the guards would not fully cover the cost, yet he still decided to present it as an initial payment. He escorts them into the fortress, allowing them the opportunity to present their unique request. Within the base, the group notices numerous workers assembling sophisticated machinery. Everyone stared in disbelief at the military's advanced equipment, their minds racing with questions about how many hidden secrets the army might possess. The guard leads the group to the head of development, giving them the opportunity to present their request. The leader spun to face the group, and in that moment realized he was the same masked stranger who had previously questioned them. He is taken aback when he learns that the man is named. She offered a warm greeting as approached, and after shaking his hand, he requested a portable shelter. She expressed curiosity about his preferences, inquiring about the type of shelter he envisioned. He explained the features of an opulent residence, noting how it could cleverly fold itself into a compact, portable box. The group found the suggestion overly dramatic and amusing, causing them all to burst into laughter. Wondered aloud about the possible cost of constructing a shelter like that. The workers chuckled among themselves, remarking that they specialized in technology, not in performing miracles. The girls felt a wave of embarrassment wash over them, as they assumed the captain was simply trying to impress everyone with his bold request. The young woman with brown hair grew irritated and cautioned the other person against making such a fuss. She instructs the group to remain silent as she gets ready to test the equipment. He demonstrates a gadget capable of displaying shelters of various materials and dimensions. The device displayed multiple choices and asked him to pick the one he preferred. Detailed instructions for constructing a basic shelter that could accommodate 5 individuals, making sure it included features for airflow and was hidden from view. She mentions that the cost will be significant and informs him that he must gather a minimum of 100 cores. He quietly suggests to himself that choosing the safe zone might save him money and offer more advantages. The girls stared at the price tag, their faces filled with disbelief as they realized it was far beyond what they could afford. Despite being cautioned, the individual dismisses the advice and inquires about the time required to construct the shelter. He instructed Zai to deliver 10 cores before nightfall to fulfill part of the payment. Someone wonders aloud whether it is possible to exchange the core for an item of equal worth. She nodded in agreement and proposed that they could use 100 kilograms of monster meat as another option. He instructed a member of his team to record Yuan's details for the contract. Yangon put pen to paper, finalizing the contract and officially securing the deal for the shelter's construction. Flashed a self-assured grin, certain that he was about to experience the strength of the newly built shelter. The group entered the shadowy forest, hoping to find monster meat as part of their payment. He wondered aloud whether his friend sensed any monsters lurking in the area. She expressed regret for her lack of usefulness, but the captain reassured her, acknowledging her earnest efforts. Without warning, the girl with pink hair became aware of an unusual presence, causing her eyes to emit a mysterious glow. She cautioned the captain regarding the chosen paths, prompting him to ready his weapon and take aim at the target. The annual aims its weapon at a concealed monster, yet the beast swiftly evades the attack. The monster's energy slipped away, darting into a nearby tree in a desperate attempt to avoid capture. The captain remained persistent, chasing after the creature with unwavering resolve, unwilling to allow it to escape. He fired another shot, striking the tree and exposing the creature that had been concealed behind it. The girls rejoiced in their win, feeling impressed by the captain's impressive abilities. A young woman with brown hair comes across a creature that appears to be an ordinary snack. The girl with pink hair tapped into her special power, searching for the heart of the plant creature. They discovered the core, and the young woman with brown hair reacted with astonishment at how large it was. Each year, his friend assured him that she would put in more effort to become more helpful. The girl with pink hair bursts into joyful tears, relieved that she is at last able to offer her assistance. Her eyes lit up once more as she detected another danger drawing near. A massive bird with 3 glaring eyes suddenly emerged overhead, its posture threatening as it prepared to launch an assault on the group below. The annual acts swiftly, raising their weapon to fire at the bird in an attempt to protect themselves from its assault. Despite striking the creature, the bullets failed to defeat it completely. The bird moved so quickly that everyone struggled to land a shot on it. He suddenly notices a stabbing sensation, understanding that the strain has caused his previous injury to reopen. The creature with wings itself to strike, while Yuan held back, watching carefully for the perfect opportunity to fire his weapon. He squeezed the trigger repeatedly, sending bullets into the bird's wings and causing it to lose its balance mid-flight. The creature collapsed onto the earth, its injuries from the gunfire leaving it grounded and stripping away its ability to take flight once more. The figure approached the creature, his form shimmering with crackling electricity, ready to deliver the final blow. He fired a strong shot that struck the bird directly, triggering a massive explosion. From afar, the girls observed with anxious expressions, their concern for the captain growing as the fight became more fierce. The group watched in awe as the pistol's strength brought down the enormous creature. The Anion's weapon transformed, becoming the king of pistols, now capable of reaching targets up to 150 meters away. He sensed the strength of the new weapon surge through him, yet at the same time, the forceful kickback caused his old injury to ache sharply once more. The girls hurried over to assist him, concern etched on their faces as they noticed the toll the battle had taken on his body. The young woman with brown hair alerted the group that the bird had already escaped, urging them that they must pursue it quickly. Out of nowhere, a band of survivors emerged and insisted that they had spotted the bird before anyone else. The girl with pink hair herself for battle, standing guard to shield her companions from the approaching strangers. The young woman with brown hair wondered aloud whether the others intended to take the prize for themselves. Who leads the group fixes Yuan with an intense and defiant stare. And their companions advanced with determination, intent on claiming the monster as their own. One of Lunch One's men remarked that it had been quite some time since he last tasted the meat of a powerful monster. A different man reprimanded him, suggesting that the meat ought to be exchanged with the military instead. The group's strongest member pointed out that their numbers gave them no reason to fear. Intervened, asserting that the reward rightfully belonged to them and cautioning against starting any conflict. He realizes that defeating the bird with a single shot would have been impossible. Approached and requested assistance from Scroop, leaving the young woman with brown hair puzzled by the situation. Lynch felt a surge of curiosity as he considered asking what kind of help was needed, intrigued by the suggestion being offered. The captain promises a reward of 5 kilograms of meat in exchange for assistance with transporting the bird. Responded by proposing a deal, suggesting that they would assist in exchange for 50 kilograms of meat. The individual began to bargain, putting forth a final offer of 7.5 kilograms of meat in exchange for their well-being. The two parties come to an agreement, with assuring them that he will handle any monsters they encounter along their journey. Lynch began by sharing his own name and inquired about the captain's identity, thus formalizing their alliance. Greeted the others and shook hands, signaling the beginning of a new partnership. Took charge, carefully splitting his group into 3 separate teams, each assigned a role in transporting the monster. His group transported the enormous bird as they moved carefully through the shadowy forest. The annual one cautioned the girls to stay alert because he felt uneasy about trusting the other group. Without warning, a horde of creatures resembling zombies emerged, encircling the group on all sides. Each year, the group themselves for combat, confronting the emerging danger with unwavering resolve. His temper flared as he declared that nobody had ever been bold enough to take his prize before. A different band of survivors showed up and insisted that the group abandon the bird, and came to the realization that the newcomers included at least 3 individuals with special abilities. An unexpected blast erupted, leaving astonished by the impressive strength displayed by the new group. One of N's followers, angered by the assault, prepared himself to retaliate. The annual warns the group to stay back, making it clear that another shot could be fatal. Watched closely, amazed at how powerful the captain's weapon appeared as he studied the unfolding situation. He comes to understand that the combined abilities of himself and Yuan enhance the strength of his weapon. And his companions come to understand that the captain's formidable presence is due to the impressive firepower of his pistol. A woman from the newly arrived group activated her power, causing the earth beneath everyone's feet to tremble. The tremor filled the girls with fear as they questioned what strange force it possessed. They felt concerned for who was caught up in the chaos. He cautioned the group against drawing their weapons, hoping to prevent the conflict from escalating further. The incoming group moved forward to launch their assault, with one member unleashing a strong punching technique. The burly member of his crew stepped right into the path of his firearm, observes the opponent's movements, and gets ready to face the upcoming challenge. Without warning, an enormous creature bursts up from beneath the earth, leaving the entire crowd in shock. a monster appeared at the command of the new group, forcing and his companions to run away in fear. Panic gripped the girls as they faced the enormous beast, unsure of how to react. The head of the new group looked around and wondered aloud if anyone felt afraid. He fires at the creature's central core, causing it to erupt in a massive burst of flames. Flashed a confident smile, wondering aloud which of them now felt fear as they confronted their adversary. The newcomer swiftly seized the monster's core and darted away, abandoning the others without a backward glance. The new group's leader, enraged by her betrayal, ordered his followers to pursue her. The group stands in stunned silence, unable to believe the boldness of the woman who had just run away. The group made their way back to the military base, carrying the enormous carcass of the bird alongside them. An employee at the base reacts with surprise upon seeing how enormous the captured monster is. With a cheerful grin, the man explained that he had brought the remainder of the payment for his safe house. The team examined the bird's remains and found that a single core contained 3 kilograms of meat. The meat had been divided, amounting to 70 kilograms along with 47 monster cores. The feathers and bones were counted as resources, amounting to a total of 87 cores. The young woman with brown hair felt a surge of excitement when she saw how many cores they had collected. Feels a pang of jealousy as he silently regrets not claiming the monster for himself. As part of their agreement, someone requested 10 kilograms of meat for. He proceeded to request an additional 15 kilograms of meat on behalf of his group, along with the remainder to be served throughout the meal. They accept 82 cores embedded within the meat, feeling thankful for the successful exchange. Bid farewell, expressing his hope that their paths would cross again someday. He and the reader both consider how important it will be to work together with others going forward. They visit the mechanic's shop to see how the work on their safe house is coming along. The announcer for the annual event called out to Zai, inquiring whether the construction of his portable house had been completed. Mentioned that they would require an additional 2 hours, and wondered if he had any other requests to include. He requested a complete suit of armor equipped with enhanced strength capabilities and built-in weaponry. Wearing a wicked grin, he issued a bold challenge to the engineers, urging them to invent something formidable. Zai claimed that he was capable of building a flying suit of armor, but he would only do it for a fee of 1 million cores. Shared with the group that their investigation into strength armors was ongoing, admitting that there was an important element they had yet to discover. He grew irritated with one of his subordinates, insisting that he was fully aware of the boundaries regarding what he was permitted to say. Explains that the armor does not have enough energy to operate swiftly or effectively. The group's curiosity grew as they eagerly inquired about the size and weight of the armor. She explains that the most recent model has a weight of 1 ton and stands at a height of 2.5 meters. He revealed the armor's massive structure, emphasizing how much power it needed to function. Someone inquired whether it would be feasible to make the object lighter by using everyday materials. Pointed out that taking out the protection modules would make the system about 100 kilograms lighter. He explains that, despite having plenty of money, accomplishing Yang Yuan's wishes would still be impossible. The stranger remained firm, declaring that he could offer 1,000 cores as payment for the armor he desired. He requested that they swap out the armor for a more affordable option that still appeared authentic. The workers consented to craft the armor, fully aware that it could fall apart soon after being used. One of the men eyed warily, questioning whether he intended to take their technology. The workers found it amusing to imagine a car mechanic attempting to construct a suit of strength armor. Someone in the group proposed that they should freshen up with a shower and pick out new clothes while passing the time. The girls exchanged uneasy glances, concerned that he might come to regret his request. He calms their worries by expressing confidence in his actions, then proceeds to trail after Zai. Zai instructed him to move onto a raised platform so his physical information could be scanned. As the one moved onto the platform, the machine activated and started to examine his entire body with a thorough scan. The machine rapidly assembled the armor, and the watched without any hint of surprise. He was instructed to put the armor together on his own so he could understand its mechanics. Nodded in agreement, though she set the price for the assembly lesson at 60 cores. The annual one made a playful remark about stealing the technology and making some changes, but she quickly silenced him with a stern glance. He expresses his regret and prepares himself to begin learning the process of putting the armor together. At the same time, the girls were able to unwind for a moment as they enjoyed a refreshing shower. They enjoyed the rare comfort of hot water cascading from the shower, something they had gone without for quite some time. The girl with pink hair relished the sensation of warm water washing over her, a smile forming as she savored the long-awaited feeling of cleanliness. She volunteered to help her friend clean her back, and together they found happiness in the shared experience. The young woman with brown hair pauses, her mind filling with anxiety as she contemplates what lies ahead and how they will manage their money. She felt anxious about how much he spent each year and wondered what the future would bring. Her friend tried to lift her spirits by reminding her that what truly mattered was the captain's happiness and safety. She promises that if anyone dares to mock Yuan, she and her friends will fiercely stand up for him. They receive a notification letting them know that the armor has been completed, and it's time for them to return. The group hurried toward the laboratory, their excitement growing as they anticipated catching a glimpse of the captain's latest suit of armor. The girls entered the laboratory, prepared to stand up for him against anyone who might challenge him. A dazzling light burst forth as the pieces of armor started coming together right before their eyes. The individual armor parts locked seamlessly into place, creating a formidable and commanding silhouette. He slipped into the armor, catching the girls' attention as they admired its stunning appearance. Equipped with thrusters on the back, the suit enabled him to soar through the air and zip around with impressive speed. Despite his awkwardness as he fumbled with the helmet, he stood prepared for battle in his fully equipped armor. He attempts to move forward, but the delicate armor crumbles apart beneath him. Metal armor pieces clattered as they tumbled across the ground, while landed in an ungainly heap. The girls let out startled screams, their voices filled with concern for the captain's safety. She assisted him to his feet, explaining that the ventilation system had been broken. The workers burst into laughter, mocking the armor and dismissing it as nothing more than a worthless plastic toy. The girl with pink hair grew upset, insisting that what was happening did not concern anyone else. Reassured her, agreeing with their statement, and insisting that he had not been injured. He acknowledges that the armor appears toy-like, yet he explains that it serves a unique purpose. Every minute the armor boosted their experience, filling them with excitement. She clarifies that the object is unusual, and proceeds to demonstrate its energy-converting function. He explains that the converter requires replacement once a day, and consumes a significant amount of power. Expressed his gratitude to Zai, and mentioned his desire to work together with him someday. Close by, a woman rejoices as she discovers she has gained a unique power. She and her friends rejoiced, delighted to welcome another brilliant mind into their circle. A person clad in armor strode by the group and inquired about the nature of the location. The man informed them that this was the awakening site, and mentioned that each person needed to pay 10 cores to enter. He passed 10 cores to the man, hoping that his friend would also be able to awaken. Reached out to the young woman with brown hair, expressing his intention to support her financially. He makes it clear that he refuses to accept ordinary people into his group, and insists that she must prove her usefulness. The girls react with surprise to the harshness of his remarks, though he intends them as a joke. The young woman with brown hair felt a flush of embarrassment as she expressed her gratitude for the captain's thoughtful action. Expresses his gratitude by admitting that, if not for her, he would have disappeared from this world long ago. She herself for the awakening, resolve shining in her eyes as she aimed to grow stronger for the sake of her companions. The young woman walked onto the platform while her friends offered her encouraging words and wished her success. A violet aura surrounded her, signaling the start of her awakening and sending waves of pain through her body. She bears the discomfort, resolute in her decision to prevent from having to sacrifice for her once more. Agony the young woman as powerful awakening energy surged through her body, reshaping her from the inside out. A mysterious shadow surrounds her, making clear the essence of her newfound power. After the procedure, she lost consciousness and quickly reached out to support her, his face filled with concern. The young woman requested that he remove his armor, leaving him puzzled by her unusual demand. He questioned the reason behind it as the armor began to come apart by itself. He grows nervous, believing she intends to embarrass him and seek revenge in front of the entire group. She rested her hand over his injury, causing a soft green glow to emerge. He notices a soft hand resting on him, and soon the ache from his injury begins to fade away. The young woman demonstrates her power to heal, causing his injury to mend before his eyes. She reveals her power to revive the dead, bring things to a close, and transform perfection into imperfection. Although she possesses healing powers, her capabilities have boundaries, and she is unable to mend severe wounds. Each year, he inquired whether the sanctuary possessed the means to sense abilities that had already awakened. He encourages the girl with pink hair to attempt awakening her own ability too. As she moved onto the platform, a blue aura surrounded her, signaling the beginning of the process. When others inquired about the situation, the girl with pink hair found herself at a loss for words, unsure of how to respond. She blushes with embarrassment as she admits her inability to read, causing shock among those around her. The Anian recalled that her birth had taken place in the aftermath of the apocalypse, which explained why reading was an unfamiliar skill to her. The girl offers to help by sketching a picture of what she witnessed, hoping this will make her useful. His friend offered comfort, and to ensure nothing would get in the way of the examination, removed the armor. He chooses to try the awakening process on himself, wishing that his power will turn out to be enhancement. If his power turned out to be an enhancement skill, the group would have nothing to worry about. Intense pain surged through him as shadows of dark energy wrapped tightly around his body during the ordeal. A digital interface materialized within his vision, displaying detailed data regarding his unique power. The display shows that he possesses a conceptual type ability, yet it offers no additional information about what that entails. Yuan found himself puzzled, unable to understand why details about his ability were missing. Suspended above the ground, he gradually returned to awareness as the awakening concluded, a wave of confusion washing over him. The Anian collapsed into his friend's embrace, while his friend supported him with concern etched across his face. The young woman with brown hair wondered aloud whether the experiment had not succeeded, but he explained that it was actually a matter of conceptual skill. She inquired about her friend's special power, and explained that it belonged to the category of rule-based abilities. The girl with pink hair sketched out the details she had observed, leading the others to realize what she could do. The girl's ability to recall every detail amazed her friend, who marveled at her extraordinary photographic memory. The annual one offered praise, remarking on her impressive strength, which brought a smile to the girl's face as she felt pleased by the kind words. He reflects on her past, remembering that she became an orphan at just 5 years old and somehow managed to survive the end of the world. The annual event led many to question whether the emergence of these powers was a result of surviving in the post-apocalyptic world. The young woman with brown hair admires her friend's ability, thinking it excels at protecting others. The girls embraced whoever was near, their happiness shining through as they celebrated the strength they had gained as a group. The group receives instructions to reach their safe house before nightfall sets in. Several survivors are forced to leave the camp after refusing to join the safe zone. Wearing his armor, Yuan set out with the girls to search for a suitable spot to build their home. He observes that the mood beyond the boundaries of the safe zone is growing increasingly strained. A group of survivors spotted the newcomers and noticed that was among them. Lynch extends an invitation for to become part of his group, yet declines the offer. He expresses his preference for solitude and offers gratitude for being invited. Many people, it was said, were unwilling to leave for the safe zone. The girl with pink hair noticed a tree nearby and pointed it out as a good place for them to build their house. The captain examined the area and determined that it was an ideal spot to build the house. He pressed the button on the device, setting off a transformation in the box. The box grew rapidly, transforming into a spacious and solid structure right before their eyes. The walls gradually ascended, and as the house started to form, a sense of pressure settled over everyone present. Someone clarified that the piece in front of them was the first module, and assembling it was their next task. The girls announced their intention to handle dinner preparations, entrusting the rest of the gathering's arrangements to him. He confidently tells the others that he is capable of managing the task alone, then begins to put the house together on his own. While he focused on his task, he learned new skills from putting the parts together, while the girls themselves with cooking. After completing the assembly, the realizes that the house resembles a public restroom, leaving him feeling disappointed. The girls felt a surge of excitement as they looked around their new home, pleased with the place they would now call theirs. The person describes the house as modest, containing 3 rooms and powered by a solar battery. They climbed into the bed, feeling relieved and content now that they had somewhere comfortable to rest. The system notifies about the possibility of upgrading the house, causing excitement to well up inside him. The girl with pink hair prevented her friend from climbing onto the bed while still wearing dirty clothes. The yearly participants attempt to step in, but their actions come too late as the pair dash away to take a shower. He chooses to keep watch throughout the night, making sure his friends remain safe as they rest. Everyone believed that having secured a home meant they had earned a chance to relax. The experience of his exhaust skeleton hit its peak, allowing him to upgrade it. Following the upgrade, the armor now felt both lighter and sturdier, fully prepared to withstand the challenges of combat. The armor was now suitable for defense, though it was still considered unfit for combat situations. The moved with greater ease in the upgraded armor, feeling satisfied with the improvement. He comes across a constructed radar device capable of surveying the surrounding area. The group studied the radar, which displayed a map of their surroundings and offered valuable details to aid their progress. He noticed a red dot appear on the radar, and curiosity sparked within him as he tried to figure out the source of the mysterious signal. The radar image vanished without warning, causing everyone to question what had just appeared before their eyes. He questions whether the strange occurrence was caused by a creature of the night or simply a malfunction in the system. At the same time, inside a surveillance room, military personnel observed the unfolding events on their monitors. An operator approached the general, presenting a series of images that depicted an aerial assault. A satellite photograph captured the moment a massive blast erupted, signaling the presence of a fierce conflict below. A massive, fiery creature shaped like a fan monster emerged, its body blazing and poised to unleash chaos. The general, taken aback by the creature's immense size, quickly realized it was a phantom. Lieutenant Colin, him that the phantom was positioned 700 meters away from the base. Major, worried about everyone's safety, recommends that they leave the base behind. A shadowy figure warned that what was happening was only the start, insisting there was no point in trying to escape. He explains that, no matter what has happened, they must get ready for the battle that is coming. Commander instructed the group to collect every one of their specially designed coolers. As dawn broke, golden sunlight spilled over the fortress, casting a warm glow and signaling the beginning of a fresh day. The girls opened their eyes, reaching out their arms as they prepared themselves for the new day ahead. The annual realized that he had used his safe houses to their fullest potential. He grows enthusiastic as he imagines improving the house and preparing it for what lies ahead. The girl with pink hair noticed his enthusiasm and wondered aloud about the cause of his excitement. The young man shared a story about dreaming of harvesting rice, which made the girl burst into laughter at his tale. He chooses to use his power to make the house stronger and better. The earth started to emit a bright light, and soon the entire house was surrounded by a powerful blue glow. The sudden buzz of the trimmer caught the girls off guard, and as it echoed through the air, the house slowly started to change before their eyes. The house transforms, growing in beauty, strength, and size, leaving everyone amazed. The house's exterior now appeared concealed, merging seamlessly with its natural surroundings. The annual one feels pleased with the outcome, glad that the place no longer resembles a bathroom. He questions in his mind whether his wish for a combined house has been granted as well. The girls grumbled about the sweltering temperature, feeling as though it had climbed all the way to 70 degrees. The notices the rising temperature, prompting concern among the girls. He explains that they must get ready to head to the safe zone and purchase necessary supplies. Once everything was neatly packed, anyone felt confident that he was ready to achieve something miraculous. He reaches out and activates a button attached to the side of the house, setting off a remarkable transformation in the building's structure. The house suddenly collapsed in on itself, transforming into a small, portable box, leaving everyone around it astonished. The girls stood in awe, marveling at the remarkable change, their thoughts filled with admiration for how amazing the house now appeared. The box, finding it light and manageable at just 20 kilograms. The group found themselves puzzled by his actions, curious about how he accomplished such a feat. He responded by explaining that it felt just like something out of a film. He proposes that the group divide so they can gather what they need more quickly and efficiently. At the base, a group of individuals came together with the purpose of receiving their assignment, which involved putting together coolers. The yearly event inspired the assembled crowd, each person eager to take on the challenge and learn from the experience. The supervisor clarified that every component carried a unique serial number and needed to be put together in a specific sequence. He and his companion lifted a box of parts, noticing that the military shared their concerns. He looks over the components, preparing to put them together and eager to build his skills. He begins his task, expertly fitting the components together with careful attention and practiced hands. After putting the cooler together, he earns a single personal experience point. He felt a surge of excitement at how quickly he could earn experience, so he eagerly continued with his tasks. The annual event operates continuously, with workers putting together coolers and steadily gaining valuable experience. After a long struggle, he managed to complete the task, feeling worn out yet pleased with what he had accomplished. He feels satisfied with what he has learned, realizing that all his hard work has paid off. Drawing on everything he had learned so far, he successfully advanced to level 6. He paused for a moment, savoring the peacefulness before setting out on his journey once again. The feels let down by gaining just 3 levels, yet he observes that something is different. He rested his weight against a wooden pillar, but the wood couldn't handle his newfound strength and snapped beneath him. He noticed with astonishment that his power had grown significantly after reaching the new levels. The girls discovered him, and as he faced them, they noticed he had changed his hairstyle. With water and supplies in hand, they prepared themselves to accompany him as the journey pressed on. He realizes that both his eyesight and reflexes have sharpened, which boosts his confidence. The girls explained that they had purchased plenty of water, and as a bonus, they received a cooler as a complimentary gift. The annual requested his friend's pistol, offering to repair it for her. He put his power to work fixing the weapon, and as he did, he grew more skilled from the experience. He reached out for the crossbow belonging to the other friend, preparing to upgrade it just like the first. The girl with pink hair offers the weapon, her expression glowing with pride from the time she spent mastering it. The annual upgrade boosted the crossbow to level 5, giving it greater range and more powerful shots. He feels satisfied with the new skills and knowledge he has acquired after the upgrades. Without warning, an alarm blared to signal that monsters had been detected just 6 kilometers from their location. Upon hearing the news, the survivors were gripped by fear and scrambled to find safety. The group urgently warned one another about the approaching monsters and scrambled to gather their belongings. Signaled for the girls to come with him, showing his determination to confront whatever danger awaited them. The soldiers and the remaining survivors raced for their lives, fleeing in terror as the monstrous horde closed in behind them. The annual observed that the soldiers were taking apart the cannons from the fortress walls. The soldiers themselves for the upcoming fight, loudly declaring their determination to stop the monsters from advancing. At the command to attack, the soldiers unleashed a barrage of cannon fire toward the advancing enemy forces. A powerful blast erupts among the swarm, yet the creatures continue to push forward, undeterred by the force. The Annual One's group stumbled upon a massive wolf that had been defeated by a recent blast. He notices that a horde of monsters is assaulting the base, quickly understanding that the threat is severe. Inside the control room, military personnel observed the unfolding battle, their faces marked by worry and anxiety. A soldier approached the commander to report that the evacuation remained uninitiated, even as the wave had already made its arrival. The commander explained that regular citizens would not have enough time to get away from the approaching horde. An officer came up with the idea of using groundwater as a weapon against the monsters. The commander nodded in agreement, declaring that the moment had come to unleash the miracle of. The soldiers unleashed a barrage of gunfire at the approaching pack of wolves, desperately attempting to halt the monsters' advance. The cannons unleashed a relentless barrage, forming a blazing barrier that held back the advancing horde. The army stands guard as the survivors receive orders to leave the area for their safety. Desperate crowds hurried toward the safe zone, anxious to arrive before danger caught up with them. The commander instructed the soldiers to protect those who were falling back, making it clear that anyone acting recklessly would be left behind. He explains that their opponents are not limited to just the monsters, and emphasizes the importance of considering their next course of action. The commander instructed the artillery units to change their aim, focusing on redirecting the swarm of monsters away from the city to keep its people safe. Mid relentless bursts of explosions, the soldiers displayed unwavering courage as they battled fiercely to defend the base. And the rest quickly escaped the swarm, trailing behind the soldiers as they made their way to safety. He observes the soldiers taking apart the cannons, puzzled by their actions and unable to grasp the reason behind it. The soldiers themselves for the upcoming fight, their resolve unwavering as they positioned themselves to defend the city wall. The cannons erupted, sending blazing rounds into the air that formed a fiery barricade, holding the monsters at bay. A massive blast erupts within the crowd of enemies, yet the force fails to halt their advance. During their yearly gathering, the group suddenly came face to face with a ghostly wolf, prompting one member to ready himself for battle. He notices a swarm of monsters launching an assault, and quickly understands that the danger is severe. The sensors built into his armor picked up the movement of the approaching wolves, displaying their positions clearly. He recognizes the creatures as phantom wolves with 2 heads, classifying them as D-level threats. The man fired at the wolves, relying on his armor to shield himself from their fierce assaults. The remaining survivors watched in awe, clearly amazed by his expertise and the remarkable strength of his weapon. Everyone around him speculates about the mysterious power that makes him so formidable. The anyone goes on to clarify that the radar built into his armor can sense opponents within a range of 100 meters. The girl with pink hair stared in awe at the impressive features of the armor, clearly astonished by what it could do. Without warning, creatures from beneath the earth emerged and launched a surprise assault on the group. A massive worm bursts through the earth, its jagged teeth bared as it prepares to strike. Panic spread among the survivors as soon as the underground creatures appeared before them. A man found himself ensnared by one of the massive worms, his desperate cries for assistance echoing through the air. Someone fired at the worms, rescuing the remaining people from the dangerous assault. Grateful for his assistance, they quickly understood that escaping without delay was their only option. A girl with pink hair found herself under attack from a creature lurking below the ground, but she narrowly managed to get away. The annual powered down the thrusters on his armor, getting ready to face the battle in the sky. Soaring high above the ground, he skillfully weaved around the monster's assaults while getting ready to strike in return. The anyone fired at the monsters, skillfully using his agility to strike from multiple directions. The girl with pink hair stumbled upon a monster core and felt a surge of excitement over her unexpected find. A member of the opposing group snatched the core and made a swift escape, abandoning the rest without hesitation. She activated her balloon power, rising into the air and drifting away, carrying the stolen body with her. And his companions managed to seize her, leaving her with no choice but to hand the core back. The group agrees to work with Yuan, planning for him to take down the monsters as they draw the creatures into a trap. The older participant accepted the proposal, while the girl with pink hair gently cradled the core in her hands. The group observed the monsters carefully, studying their behavior as got ready to launch an attack. He aimed his upgraded weapon at the monsters and took them down with a series of forceful blasts. Clad in his armor and wielding his weapon, he overcame the swarm of monsters and earned valuable experience. The girl with pink hair admired the captain, clearly awed by how powerful and skilled he was. Although the fight has not ended, new monsters emerge and encircle the group. Everyone suddenly notices that they are surrounded by monster nests and must find a way to escape. He instructed the girls to seize the core and get ready to fall back. A creature with a crystallized form suddenly became fascinated by the core. The creature snatched the core, leaving pleased as he realized this would help him improve his skills with the pistol. He improved his weapon again, preparing himself to confront the approaching danger. He aimed his advanced pistol at the creature and fired, fully prepared for the fight ahead. The woman let out a terrified scream as she witnessed the force of the shot obliterate the monster before her eyes. The unexpected power of the weapon leaves everyone stunned, and the woman collapses onto the floor. The annual gives a stern warning, making it clear that no one should harm his people, his confidence evident as he holds his pistol, assured of its strength. The group quickly offers their apologies before making a hasty escape, abandoning the woman who remains clutching the cord. She proudly displayed the collection she had taken, their impressive number and gleaming appearance making her feel triumphant. The group revealed that they were a trio, and the woman expressed her gratitude to him for allowing her to leave. The young woman with brown hair grumbled about how hot it was, insisting that it was time for them to leave. The annual one nodded in agreement, and together they got ready to set off and resume their journey. Without warning, the girl with pink hair lost consciousness and dropped to the ground, overcome by the intense heat. Everyone hurried over to assist her, concern clearly etched on their faces as they wondered about her well-being. He cradled her gently, urging her not to give up, while her friend stepped forward to offer some water. The young woman with brown hair grew concerned about the risk of dehydration, yet shook his head and declined the offer of water. He explains that conserving water is important and assures her that resting will be enough for her recovery. Warned her that if things continued this way, none of them would make it. She recalls the cooler they got, designed to bring down the temperature of the water. Someone inquired about the location of the cooler, and she responded by explaining that it was inside her backpack. He notices that, thanks to his efforts, the device has gathered a significant amount of experience. He upgraded the cooler, preparing to activate its new feature in hopes of rescuing his friend. The cooler possessed the capability to reduce the water temperature within a 10-kilometer radius. Prepared the upgraded cooler, determined to rescue his friends. The device was now capable of reducing the temperature across an area with a 3-kilometer radius. The girls marvel at how powerful the cooler is, enjoying the wave of comfort it brings. The group noticed the temperature drop, and the girl with pink hair gradually regained her composure after feeling overheated. He claimed to have made some small enhancements to the device, but his friend looked at him with skepticism, clearly unconvinced by his assertion. The girls embraced him warmly, their faces bright with relief and admiration for what he had managed to do. He felt a flush of embarrassment, as their embrace brought the warmth of their bodies together. The group chooses to take a short break and moves into the section where the device keeps the air cool. Without warning, the group notices several individuals dashing away from the area that was considered secure. A swift-moving blue mist surrounded the crowd as they raced forward. Everyone soon understands that the mist is responsible for their increased speed, and they sense that it poses a real threat. The young woman with brown hair silently longed for a way to move faster, wishing she possessed something that could boost her speed. She attempts to spark a tiny fire, yet the overwhelming heat singes her skin. She grumbled about the 70-degree weather, insisting that she nearly got scorched. She summoned her healing power, shaping it into a shimmering orb of water, yet the sphere quickly vanished as it turned to vapor. The other survivors teased her, predicting she would soon be weakened by lack of water. The group observed the situation with sympathy for the other survivors. The group of survivors rushed in their direction, prompting to brace himself for the challenges ahead. The group settled into the air-conditioned space, where the thermometer showed a comfortable 15 degrees. Despite the girls grumbling about the chilly air, reassures them by noting that the water outdoors will eventually dry up. The group settled beneath the shade, enjoying the cool breeze produced by the machine. The young woman from the brown herd proposes an idea to gather water by making use of the condenser on the cooler. With careful precision, she wields a hammer, chipping away at the rock until a neat hole forms and the surface grows smooth. She strikes forcefully, making the ground ready to gather water. She set the cooler atop the rock and explained that it would gather moisture from the surrounding air. She looks around, puzzled by his absence, and starts to question where he might have gone. A man suddenly emerged from a hole in the ground, explaining that he had been digging in order to offer assistance. Someone arrived carrying a bundle of firewood, prompting his companion to wonder aloud if he planned to start a fire. He picks up the wood and begins to carve, determined to strengthen his hands through practice. The girls observed him closely, and one volunteered to stand guard as he continued his training. He notices that the cooler has advanced to level 7 and makes up his mind to upgrade it further. As darkness settled over the desert, the moon cast its gentle glow across the sky. Inside the safe zone, Individuals are allowed to distribute water as long as they follow the regulations set by the base. A woman lost her footing and tumbled, causing several boxes filled with supplies to crash onto the floor. Her friend hurried over, concern etched on her face as she rushed to offer assistance. The woman suddenly collapsed, leaving the others uncertain whether she had been overcome by the heat or was experiencing some sort of revelation. A man urgently called out, explaining that the woman beside him was burning with fever and required immediate help. The rest of the group questions whether the army physicians would assist someone who isn't a soldier. An elderly man remarks that their main concern is protecting themselves. The woman is taken from the scene on a stretcher, while the man clarifies that the fever can lead to one of two possible results. When the military doctors showed up, onlookers speculated among themselves, questioning whether the situation involved a fire-based method. The older man's face fills with fear as he witnesses the woman changing into a fearsome creature. Panic swept through the crowd as they shouted in fear, claiming the woman had transformed into a monster. A man approached, intending to offer assistance, but the woman, now transformed, launched a vicious attack against him. The woman's body changed completely, becoming a fearsome creature of flames that struck fear into everyone around her. Her anger erupted in a deafening roar, making it clear that becoming a monster was her inevitable fate. Everyone within the safe zone noticed the sound of gunfire and began to question what was going on. The girls tried to get his attention, prompting him to turn around and find out why they were calling him. The young woman with brown hair suggests that they should adjust their plan slightly. She gestures toward the cooler, indicating that it isn't functioning as it should. The air remained too warm for any moisture to form from it. She proposes digging a well to access water, yet someone else comes up with a different plan. With a surge of power, he squeezed his hand into a fist, crushing the stone beneath his grip using his extraordinary strength. This describes how the ground is splitting apart, making it difficult to locate any water. The girls wondered aloud about their next steps, but he replied that they would have to be patient and wait. He grumbles about how challenging it is to obtain even a simple drink of water in this world. The annual tradition stated that once he conquered the monsters, everyone would be free to drink to their heart's content. He requests assistance in locating supplies needed to craft a bow and arrows. He insists that escaping is not an option and believes they must focus on making their group stronger. The annual announcement discloses his intention to visit the safe zone in order to purchase an airplane. The girls burst into laughter as they wondered aloud whether an airplane could really defeat monsters. The young woman with brown hair steps forward to challenge him, insisting that his words make no sense. She advised him to abandon his plan, yet he firmly maintained that he truly meant it. He assures everyone that his skills will guarantee the plan works, promising they will have enough water. The girls hesitate, uncertainty flickering in their eyes, yet they place their confidence in the captain's guidance and agree to follow the plan. He offered reassurance, encouraging them to trust in him and promising that the intense heat would not harm them. They decided to go along with the plan, placing their trust in the leadership of the group began their search for supplies, prepared to take on their latest assignment. He went on to describe how the monsters gave off both light and heat, adding that ordinary people would be reduced to ash in their presence. He explains that the creature they encountered is not alone, warning that several others are close by. Due to the intense heat, those nearby had the ability to change into terrifying creatures. In order to prevent the world from ending, the group realizes they must conquer the monsters and eliminate the looming danger. He gazes upward, fully aware that they must hurry before the heat intensifies even more. The notices that the exhaust skeleton has been on him for quite some time, and he understands that he has the ability to improve its capabilities. He climbed into the suit, preparing to enhance his power and increase its strength. The exoskeleton had reached its maximum experience, prompting an upgrade to a higher level. Once enhanced, the armor shifted into a sleeker, more contemporary suit that felt much lighter. A brilliant light surrounded, as the armor adjusted itself to fit him perfectly. The armor had become sleeker, with fitted sections covering his arms, legs, and torso. The system reveals an updated design that surpasses the previous version in both agility and strength. The upgraded armor enhanced his swiftness and nimbleness, allowing him to become more powerful. The device was durable enough to survive sniper fire, and was equipped with a radar capable of detecting movement within a 200-meter radius. The system offers its congratulations, informing him that he is now free from the burden of wearing his outdated armor. The annual one felt a surge of happiness upon realizing that the armor before them was genuine instead of an imitation. He operated the upgraded radar, watching as it picked up the presence of a small creature 200 meters in the distance. The radar displayed an image of a rat with two heads, and Yang Yuan found himself amazed by how detailed the depiction was. He powered up the thrusters, preparing himself to put the upgraded armor's speed and strength to the test. With a mighty jump, he soared across the clouds, darting swiftly and skillfully through the air. He touched down close to the rat, causing it to jump in surprise at his unexpected entrance. He slams his fist into the earth, leaving a deep crater as proof of the armor's incredible power. The annual observer watched in awe as the photon thrusters accelerated with remarkable speed, leaving a strong impression. He crashed down with tremendous force, leaving a deep crater in the earth where he struck. As he landed, the earth cracked beneath him, demonstrating the immense strength of his armor. He felt a surge of pride as he admired the new armor, impressed by its impressive strength and remarkable speed. He tried to figure out what the system meant when it said he wouldn't have to carry it everywhere anymore. Without warning, the armor started to come apart piece by piece, filling him with confusion and fear. The armor breaks apart into compact segments that seamlessly attach themselves to his frame. He discovers that the armor can shrink down, so he doesn't have to lug it around anymore. Wearing the streamlined armor, he soared swiftly through the air, putting his latest design to the test. He swaps out the energy core, making sure he has enough power to keep fighting. He carefully places a fresh core inside the armor, confident that this will provide the power he needs. Observes that the core's energy has grown stronger, feeling a jolt of surprise at this unexpected development. He questions whether the enhancements that improved the armor were also applied to the core. He pressed his lips to the armor, marking the moment he discovered an endless well of power. The girls managed to catch him and stared in disbelief, convinced that he had finally gone crazy. He grew flustered and attempted to clarify the situation, insisting that things were not as they appeared. One of the girls pointed out that the safe zone had started shifting once more. She explained that they had remained in one place before, but now they were getting ready to move on. A sense of unease settled over the girl with pink hair as she sensed the approach of yet another wave. Someone in the group proposed that they should join the safe zone group for better protection. The character hurried after the others, fully aware that speed was essential to stay with the group. He looks around at the mysterious mist enveloping them, curious about its nature and whether it is something he could purchase. They concealed themselves behind a tree, carefully observing the group gathered in the safe zone. The young woman with brown hair notes that she now feels stronger and is able to lift heavier objects than before. Seeing that some might get weary, the anyone volunteered to carry them, offering encouragement to the whole group. The girls found a surge of motivation within themselves, each resolved to prove they would not hold the captain back. According to others, the route ought to be secure now because the army already traveled that way. They come across a war-torn field, littered with fallen soldiers and scattered wreckage. The girl with pink hair recoils in fear as she takes in her surroundings and understands that she has stumbled onto a battlefield. The annual announcement reported that all bodies and weapons had been gathered, ensuring that no trace remained. The young woman with brown hair explains that the safe zone is crowded and there are many mouths to feed. Her friend appeared concerned, thinking they must have encountered a formidable creature. They realize that they must move faster if they want to rejoin the group waiting in the safe zone. The girls nodded in agreement and pressed on, their resolve strengthened as they continued their journey. They trail after the group's footprints, which extend far into the distance. From their vantage point, they noticed a group gathered in the safe zone roughly a kilometer in the distance. The girl with pink hair warned the others to stay back, explaining that it would prevent anyone from thinking they were dangerous. Everyone soon understands that the mist is not a special power, since it lingers much longer than any ability would. His friend cautions him that the group is now moving faster and making their way up a hill. The girl expressed her frustration about how fast things were moving, questioning in her mind whether anyone in the safe zone ever took a break. He realizes that having a vehicle would help him get around more easily, so he decides to find one. The young woman with brown hair grumbled about how the lady in charge always made them climb up and down the steep hill Zenon. The becomes aware that they are moving toward an area that is not only hotter, but also fraught with greater danger. She grumbled about how hot it had become, admitting that she hadn't realized the temperature was going up when the cooler was running. Without warning, the young woman with brown hair stumbled and collapsed onto the ground, completely drained of energy. Everyone rushes over to assist her, concern etched on their faces as they notice how tired and unwell she appears. Tears streamed down the face of the girl with pink hair as she admitted her legs could no longer carry her. It becomes clear to everyone that continuing in this way will leave them unable to keep pace with the rest of the group. And his companions come across the group and extend an invitation for them to join forces. The woman expressed her frustration, believing that their weakness would become a burden and hinder their progress. The individual declined the offer, insisting that assistance was unnecessary. He upgrades his armor, allowing it to support heavier loads and expanding the range of its radar. He lifted both girls effortlessly into his arms, leaving the others staring in amazement at how strong he was. With a burst of energy, he engaged the armor's thrusters and prepared himself to sprint forward. The armor's legs shifted shape, enabling him to sprint with incredible speed. The rest of the group watched in amazement, curious about the secret behind his incredible speed. He carefully carried the girls who, concerned, requested to be set down. Without warning, an explosion erupted, drawing their attention to the safe zone group who were now in peril. A number of airborne creatures vanished into the clouds as they launched assaults against the swarming monsters below. The girls felt a wave of fear as unfamiliar UFOs appeared overhead, leaving them puzzled and anxious about the identity of the mysterious objects. Everyone suddenly becomes aware that another group of monsters has begun assaulting the safe zone. The girl with pink hair feels a surge of fear as she notices that this swarm is even bigger than the one they faced before. Powerful beams of light from the UFS fire cut through the monsters, obliterating them with intense force. The last human realizes they must escape immediately, fearing they will be trapped in the impending fight. Without warning, an enormous Stonehenge rose up from the earth, completely obstructing their way forward. A massive golem unleashed its power by crushing one of the UFOs, clearly demonstrating how strong it was. While he stood bravely in his armor, the anyone urged everyone else to escape as he prepared to confront the monsters alone. He discards the supplies to increase his speed, choosing safety over their belongings. Without warning, a UFO plummeted to the ground nearby, prompting to urgently shout at everyone to drop to the ground and remain perfectly still. A thick cloud of dust billowed into the air when the UFOs landed, forcing the group to shield themselves as much as possible. A massive creature covered in writhing tentacles emerged, its enormous form making clear just how dangerous it truly was. High above the ground, a group of soldiers soared through the air, readying themselves to confront the unfamiliar beast. The group targeted the creature's writhing tentacles, slicing through them with the strength of their formidable weapons. Everyone who witnessed the military's might could not help but admire their formidable power. The soldiers pressed on, battling fiercely as the giant monster's tentacles lashed out at them. The recovered UFOs were gathered together, revealing the sophistication of their technology. Everyone in his group joined the evacuation, each person desperately seeking to flee from the hazardous area. The girl with pink hair noticed several UFOs that had not yet been picked up. She claimed to have seen 8 UFOs, and her friend admired how well she remembered the number. They felt a surge of excitement at the thought of preparing a UFO for the HU. The girl's friend quickly placed her hands over the girl's eyes, warning her not to film what was happening. They come across the remains of the UFOs, understanding that every one of them has been completely ruined. Yangon sets out on a search for components, determined to put together a fully functional UFL. From a distance, a woman belonging to the other group observes them, thinking that Yan's suggestion is absurd. The man sitting beside her explains that UFOs possess great power, so it's understandable that someone would desire to have one. He wonders aloud if searching for spare parts is worthwhile now that the UFOs have been completely wrecked. The woman explains that, despite their efforts to put one together, exchanging it for necessary supplies will not be possible. His group decided to leave them behind, explaining that old resentments lingered and that the others would now have to survive on their own. They began searching for components, intent on putting the UFO together. The girls gathered around him, prepared to assist as they began looking for the necessary parts. They put in a lot of effort, which leaves feeling awkward about the situation. He feels his cheeks grow warm as he watches the girls put in extra effort to assist him. The group collaborated as they collected the remnants of the shattered UFOs. Without warning, a feather drifted down from above and landed on a wolf, causing the creature to instantly dissolve into a cloud of dust. The group collapsed from exhaustion, overwhelmed by the effort and the force of the impact. Every year, people stop to question the true size of the PC discovered. He comes across a nearly undamaged UFO, and the sight fills him with excitement over his remarkable find. He studies the enormous UFO, puzzled by how something so massive could remain airborne. The young woman with brown hair offers her unique skills, assuring that she is able to repair the UFO. She revealed her power to repair things, which sparked excitement in. He gestured toward the UFO, indicating that he wanted her to attempt repairing it. She rested her hand on the UFO, and a shimmering blue energy slowly wrapped around it. The young woman focused her mind, causing the pieces of the UFO to slowly assemble themselves. The fragments hovered above the ground and gradually aligned themselves, seamlessly merging until the UFO was whole again. Watched with admiration as his friend's remarkable skill became evident before his eyes. After the process, she felt completely drained, yet a sense of happiness filled her because she had managed to lend a hand. The annual grew concerned for his friend, yet she insisted that resting was not an option for her at that moment. The mysterious UFO hovered above the ground, while the girl with vibrant pink hair expressed admiration for her friend's impressive skills. Without warning, the young woman with brown hair lost consciousness and collapsed, landing in Simbrace. He gently supported her, concern etched across his face as her friend called out her name in alarm. Each year, the man carefully set the house box down on the ground, preparing to open it and offer his friend a safe place to stay. He pushed the button, setting off a chain reaction as the house started building itself before their eyes. Spotting her unconscious friend, the girl with pink hair dashed inside, concern etched across her face. Someone gently lifted her and carried her indoors, carefully settling her on the bed to allow her to rest. He gently places her down, taking care to ensure she rests securely and at ease. She is told that eating properly will help her recover her strength. He quietly exits the house to allow his friend some peace, and upon stepping outside, he discovers a UFO waiting for him. He announces his intention to take apart the UFO to study how it is built and find ways to improve it. The girl with pink hair nodded in agreement, her remarkable photographic memory prepared to assist with the task. He proceeded to trigger the armor scanning feature of his suit, intending to study the UFO. The scan indicated that the UFO was made up of 13,034 individual components, organized into 12 separate sections. He feels astonished by how many parts there are, yet he is pleased with the added feature. He requested that his friend inspect the area for possible threats or hidden self-destruct mechanisms. He quickly understands that her talent offers a clever advantage, allowing him to accomplish 2 tasks at once. She carefully inspects the UFO and determines that there is no sign of danger, assuring herself that it is safe. Upon receiving confirmation, methodically starts to take apart the UFO, handling each component with precision. His armor picked up a nearby Bluetooth signal and prompted him to decide whether he wished to establish a connection. He reacts with astonishment to the feature, then decides to press the button in order to establish a connection with the signal. He manages to establish a connection and realizes that the UFO has been restored to its original factory settings. He stared in disbelief as his friend's power brought the UFO back to its original, untouched state. He bursts into joyful laughter as the realization dawns on him that he has struck gold with his discovery. He created a complex 38-digit password for the UFO, officially claiming ownership of it. Armed with the updated password, he could now control every feature of the UFO, even triggering its self-destruct option. He feels a sense of relief when he notices that the monster has damaged the UFO just enough to make it possible for him to discover its location. Rejoiced alongside his friend, expressing relief that the threat of the monsters was finally behind them. The girl with pink hair expressed her enthusiasm for the UFO and encouraged him to try it out, clearly excited to watch how it performed. He mentally initiated the neural interface, establishing a direct link with the UFO using his thoughts. The controls inside the UFO sprang to life, signaling that the ship was ready. He steadied himself, anticipation building, as he got ready to embark on his maiden voyage. The thrusters of the UFO came to life, lifting the craft gently into the air without making a sound. The girl gazed in astonishment at the noiseless movement, her mind swirling with curiosity about the mechanism behind it. Everyone soon comes to understand that the UFO operates using anti-gravity technology, marking a significant breakthrough. The UFO accelerated to 170 meters per second, leaving the onlookers amazed. The object soared swiftly through the darkness, a glowing streak marking its path across the night sky. Upon noticing that increased speed could draw the attention of monsters, everyone agrees to stop testing it any further. His friend wondered aloud if the UFO had enough space for passengers, and he confidently confirmed that it did. He climbed aboard the UFO, while his friend snapped a photo to remember the occasion. He demonstrates his improved balance on the U-fault by moving through a series of confident poses. The system himmed that his weight had reached 80 kilograms, indicating that he was now considered overweight. He grew irritated by the alert and ordered the system to be quiet. The UFO spun out of control, tossing him down and making him land clumsily on the ground. He hit the ground with force, prompting his friend to rush over with concern etched on their face, anxious about the harshness of his tumble. She reached out to assist him to his feet, and he assured her that both he and the UFO were unharmed. He notices that UFIL is not yet capable of transporting humans, although there is potential for improvement. Everyone believes that once his friend regains consciousness, she will be amazed by the improved UFO. He realizes that improving the UFO is necessary to ensure they have a way out if his friend's health declines further. He instructed the girl with pink hair to commit the process of taking the object apart to memory. She decided to assist, prepared to put her skills to work in support of the team. She focused intently, her eyes shining as she committed each step of the disassembly process to memory. He began his work with a strong resolve, eager to repair the UFO so his friends could use it again. He methodically took apart the UFO, making sure to go slowly so his friend could watch and remember every move he made. He discovers an unusually lengthy pipe and questions the reason behind its size. Someone notices that the UFO is equipped with a compact, yet extremely potent missile. He discovers a stockpile of 1,000 missiles and is taken aback by the sheer quantity of weapons. He notices that the UFO is equipped with numerous cannons, revealing its purpose as a weapon of destruction. Wearing a wicked grin, he reveled in the newfound strength of his weaponry. His friend noticed that he was putting a piece together the wrong way and stepped in to guide him through the correct assembly. He expressed his gratitude to his friend, acknowledging that her help had made his success possible. With careful precision, he secures the final screw, bringing the construction of the UFO to completion. The UFO stood fully prepared, its systems coming back online in anticipation of takeoff. He inquired whether all preparations had been completed, his excitement to try out the UFO evident in his expression. A soft blue glow surrounds the UFO as he gets ready to face his initial challenge. The system displayed updated information, revealing that the UFO was now capable of transporting up to 1,000 kilograms. The notices that qualifying to use the UFO requires less experience compared to the amount needed for the armor. He explained to his friend that he planned to upgrade the UFO, preparing it for what would come next. The girl with pink hair appeared weary, prompting them to suggest she take a break and regain her strength. She wondered whether he had accomplished his goal, and in response, he handed her some water so she could regain her strength. The annual, feeling anxious about his friend's state, unscrewed the cap of a water bottle. She shakes her head at the offered water, insisting that he keep it for their other friend instead. Witnessing her selfless act for the sake of the group fills him with sorrow. Each year she received food and water from them, as they assured her their supplies were sufficient. The girl began to eat, feeling deeply moved by the captain's thoughtful attention and gentle kindness. She, drained of energy, moves her plate aside, unable to eat anymore. Exhausted by her efforts under the sweltering sun, the girl with pink hair drifts off to sleep. He carefully lifts her into his arms and carries her into the house so she can rest. He gently places her on the bed, tending to her with a blend of tenderness and worry. He looks over at his other friend, who remains asleep, and observes that her condition has improved. Anyone stepped out of the house, prepared to confront whatever challenges awaited beyond the door. He notices that the air feels hotter each day, and the lack of rain has made the drought even more severe. A massive creature made of flames emerged, making it clear just how serious the danger had become. During the annual event, he spotted several dehydrated survivors and realized the urgent need to search for water. He considers different ways to become more skilled with the UFO, debating if he should practice flying it or try out its weapons. He experimented with the UFO, soon realizing that simply levitating it granted him experience points. The annual one discovers, to his astonishment, that he can earn experience effortlessly. He chooses to let the UFO hover unattended, allowing it to gather experience on its own as he takes a break. 30 minutes passed, and he found himself taken aback by both the outcome and the knowledge he had gained along the way. The UFO expands until it reaches a diameter of 4 meters, and its features become more advanced. He felt a surge of excitement at the realization that the UFO was now capable of transporting humans. The annual boarded the UFO, prepared to try out its improved ability to carry passengers. Once again, the system him about exceeding the weight limit, causing annoyance as it disrupted his plans. Without warning, a strange and unknown beast lunged at the UFO, prompting the system to inquire whether he wished to fight back. He questioned what had assaulted him, just as the UFO was struck by razor-sharp claws. The creature's claws ripped through the metal of the UFO, demonstrating its immense power. He positions the UFO between himself and the monster, using it to block the creature's assault and keep himself safe. A massive wolf emerged from the shadows, its crimson eyes glowing and its claws gleaming dangerously. The creature moved closer while got ready to fight, standing bravely to confront the monster. He swiftly evades the lunging wolf, readying his weapon to strike back. The massive wolf fixed its crimson gaze on him, preparing to strike. The creature lunged forward, slashing with its sharp claws, while quickly maneuvered the UFO to shield himself from the assault. The wolf sank its teeth into the UFO, while his armor bracing himself to strike back. He vaulted above the beast, his armored form poised midair to strike from above. The annual delivered a forceful blow to the wolf, causing the earth beneath them to crack from the sheer strength of the strike. The creature is knocked backward, yet it swiftly regains its balance after the impact. He powered up the cannon on his armor, his mind filled with concern over potentially harming his newly acquired treasure. He unleashed a blast of energy that struck the earth, triggering a massive explosion. The notices the wolf is gone, and is taken aback by how quickly it vanished. The creature moved with such incredible speed that the sensors built into the armor struggled to track its movements. He focuses intently, attempting to anticipate what the quick animal will do next. Found himself encircled by numerous glowing red eyes, and the realization dawned on him that he was in serious danger. As he spun around, he discovered the wolf lurking just behind him, poised to launch a sudden attack. Moving swiftly, he strikes the monster squarely, making solid contact. The bullet struck the wolf directly, causing the animal to collapse onto the ground, injured. The monster attempts to run away, but is determined not to let it get away without a fight. He notices the wolf making its way toward his home, and is suddenly filled with fear. The wolf approached the house, filling Yuan with worry about the safety of his friends. The girl with pink hair was startled awake by the commotion, her mind swirling with confusion as she tried to understand what was going on. As she pushes the door open, she suddenly finds herself staring directly at a massive wolf, fear gripping her as she takes in the frightening sight. The wolf lunged forward, slashing its claws, while the girl let out a terrified scream, trapped with no way to escape. Suddenly, a figure emerged before her, his armor shining brilliantly with a powerful, radiant glow. He fired at the wall, and the bullets formed fiery circles that enclosed it. He fires one last round, defeating the creature and rescuing his friend at the last possible moment. He comes to understand that his upgraded pistol is the only weapon capable of breaking through the monster's tough defenses. The girl with pink hair rushes forward, throwing her arms around him as a wave of relief washes over her now that she knows she is out of danger. Tears streamed down her face as she clung to him, trembling while she explained that the large cat had nearly devoured her. The yearly event unsettles her, and it is proposed that she consume the monster's blood to achieve her vengeance. She feels revolted at the thought, lacking the bravery needed to drink the creature's blood. She resolved to get back at the monster for frightening her, her determination clear in her eyes. Letting out a fierce shout, she gets ready to consume the monster's blood. The annual quietly questions whether there might be an issue with the blood, closely watching her response for any signs of trouble. After finishing her drink, she experiences a sense of satisfaction, believing herself to be both full and restored. He couldn't comprehend her response, puzzled about how she could possibly feel satisfied. Each year, the familiar metallic tang fills their mouth, indistinguishable from that of any regular animal. He senses a strong force within himself, surrounding his body in a glowing blue light. He comes to understand that the creature is of a high rank, and its blood is packed with powerful energy. He realizes that this energy holds the power to aid his friend's recovery. Carefully carries the blood to his unconscious friend, filled with hope that it will help restore her health. He offers her the blood, wishing its strength will bring her back to consciousness. Upon noticing that her friend refused to swallow the blood, the girl with pink hair grew increasingly frantic. Blood dripped from her mouth, yet she appeared completely unaffected by it. The annual one stood frozen in surprise, uncertain of how to help his friend. He recalls spotting a mask earlier and comes up with a daring plan. He consumes the creature's blood, getting ready to hand it over to his companion. He pressed his lips to hers, letting his blood flow into her mouth in a desperate attempt to save her life. As she sensed the heat of her own blood and the surge of power coursing within her, her body responded instinctively. As the friend regained consciousness, she immediately let out a terrified scream, overwhelmed by the alarming circumstances surrounding her. Her piercing scream echoes through the air, powerful enough to break the nearby rocks and reveal the incredible strength she has gained. Feeling flustered by what had happened, she expressed her gratitude to whoever had come to her rescue. He warned her to lower her voice next time, because the loud noise was hurting his ears. Explained that she still needed more time to heal, and planned to take a short break to rest. Despite everything, the girl with pink hair assures the others that she will stand guard, making certain that nobody approaches them. The second friend steps forward, showing a willingness to assist and a determination to safeguard everyone in the group. The annual settles down for the night, aware that he must conserve his strength for the upcoming fight.